Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, and thanks for the panel for being here. I just have one basic question. I think it's great today that we have the private sector representatives here, and then also we have public sector representatives here. We have folks that are here from the SBA, from their Office of Surety Guarantees. We have the Chief of Engineering Construction from the Corps of Engineers, and we also have from the GSA their representative as far as construction. So what I would ask is this. What would be the one or two recommendations, concerns that you would like to say to them from the SBA, from the GSA, and from the Corps of Engineers as far as policies, regulations, processes, best practices, procedures, since we have all of these players in the same room at the same time?
If I may, thank you. As we all know, construction is about building a good foundation, and that foundation starts with training, and starts with a teaching program. And as we move forward in the issues revolving defunding organizations like Department of Commerce and MBDA, or either seconding them into other organizations, let us not make sure that those training opportunities don't disappear, and that SBA and their budget doesn't get shrunken any further. They're in a tenuous position trying to do too many things with too far few people, and without, as we all know the old proverb, I can give you all the fish you want, but until I teach you how to fish, you will not sustain yourself. And ultimately, the responsibility is to give an opportunity to a contractor, not give him a contract, not give him the opportunity, but teach him how he can sustain himself and to continue to grow to the next level once he moves out of an 8A program, out of a hub zone program, so he can bring opportunities to his own community. Without that training and without that effort, then they will always be looking for the opportunities that are given to them rather than those that they can reach out for themselves.
I'd like to go back to the size standard issue. This has been an antiquated program in place for many years that there's been a lot of discussion on. And, you know, to ask for something as simple as move from a number of employees to revenue and to not get much movement is very difficult. But if we could have some consideration in that area, because it's done so many different ways, it's not consistent.
From AGC's view, we'd like to see some clear rules, safe harbors, if you will, on how SBA evaluates the affiliation rule, particularly with respect to subcontracting between small business prime contractors and large business subcontractors. There's a lot of confusion in the marketplace. There's a huge amount of bid protest activity going on right now, and we'd like to see some clarity. We think if SBA could clarify for everyone what small and large businesses can do in a subcontract relationship, it would benefit the industry and the agencies in the SBA's program and goals.
And I would add, in terms of training, just internally, they make a commitment to train their procurement officers. There's a lot of concern in the private sector that there are a lot of retirements that will happen for very skilled procurement officers. They have a tough job. They do a wonderful job out there. But as new folks come in, they need to have the training to carry on with their complex tasks that they have. So I'd urge them to do that. And from my own perspective as well, in adherence to the Miller Act requirements, we sometimes see that they're not adhered to. They're there for very good public policy reasons, and that needs to happen.
Last quick thing, each one of you, if there was one onerous federal regulation that you would want to see repealed, what would it be?
I'll take that one. AGC for several years has asked to have a line from FAR 52.219-9L removed. It's FAR Clause 52.219-9, L as in Larry. there is a sentence in that particular FAR clause that is places a restriction against counting lower tier subcontracting in the small business subcontracting goals. Obviously, Congress could choose on its own to take care of that issue, but also the FAR Council, if it so chose, could simply go in and delete that reference. And I would also point out the government's electronic subcontractor reporting system now has the capability to easily allow tracking at all levels. It's not the paperwork complication it was before it was all computerized. So AGC would like to see that.
There's I'm trying to think how to say this. There's a bid process in place where you submit your bid online, and then they come back and they ask you to counter your bid and counter your bid and counter your bid. It's sort of, in my mind, similar to this bid shopping. So I'm concerned how that works, because basically you're giving your price and you're asked to continually think about lowering your price. And you're bidding against a blind computer that you don't know why you're doing it, what's the logic behind it, if you're taking out scope. So I'd like to see that changed.
Since you've rattled my memory on that, and I think you're referring to a reverse auction process, and we feel that it's very problematic anytime you commoditize construction, because construction is unique in every instance. You have unique site requirements, you have unique owner requirements, and all the rest. And so a process or a procurement process that doesn't recognize that is, I think, very problematic, and particularly so for small business who can't finance the risk. So if you commoditize it, you're cutting the margin, you're putting difficulty in letting them compete, and that shouldn't happen.
In regards to legislation, but more of a practice, this committee has talked about bid shopping. And unfortunately, we've had the example of the government bid shopping in the form of BAFOs. Best and final offers. I've been involved in rounds of BAFOs for the same contract 5 and 6 times over and over and over again. It seems that some agencies are not quite happy with the competition is felt is a fair and reasonable price, and they want a lower price, and they continue to ask for a lower price. And so if there was going to be a meaningful change, there may be a reason for one BAFO, but multiple BAFOs on the same solicitation seems unfair and unrealistic and unreasonable.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You're back.